Hello once again and welcome to Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and Where the 99 Lead, it's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville where we talk all things regarding the university, academics, athletics, special clubs, events, and ChiCom, the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, and joined today by a special guest, Dr. Linda Dunatoff, Associate Dean for Student Affairs at ChiCom, University of Pikeville, and Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Dunatoff, welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
You've been here before, and I recall our last show. We were able to get some information out, and it was a very informative program about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, and we want to talk about that. But first, let's talk about your background and where you come from and how you arrived at the University of Pikeville.
Well, I'm originally from Seattle, Washington. That's where I was born and raised. That's where I had at least my initial bachelor's and master's degrees, and then I got my doctoral degree at North Carolina State University, and I was working in North Carolina at the time, and it was from North Carolina then that I moved up here to accept this position at Pikeville.
Sure. And when was that?
About 5 years ago now.
Time flies.
Yes, it does.
Very quickly. I know the last time that we talked, it seemed like you were still new in town at that time, but wow, 5 years. And now Dr. Linda Dunatoff as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This time of year, most students are wrapping up semesters, of course, heading toward graduation and looking forward to time away from campus. But the fourth year students from ChiCom are counting days until they return to Pikeville for graduation. Tell us about ChiCom's class of 2014.
Well, this is really a very nice class. I mean, all of them are very special, but I got to know a lot of these students because they were really the second class that I got to admit into the medical school, so they were very special to me. This class will be graduating 73 students. And another special feature about this class is the fact that this was the first class that was admitted into the medical school that had a majority of women students in it.
Wow.
I know.
Interesting.
And, yes, and since then we've had another class that had a majority of women 2 years behind it. So they are second year students now.
Sure.
But with the class of 2014, they will be coming back to town in a few weeks. They'll be here really May 15th, and we have a number of activities scheduled for them. We get together with them for several meetings administratively because we got some things that we just have to tie up, before they actually leave and go on into their residency program. But it's a nice class. 73
in the class of 2014 of ChiCom. How many began in the class of 2014?
We had 81, and now some students did leave the medical school, but we also we always have some shifting between classes. Some students will extend a year because they're doing a special year of fellowship study. Sometimes there are medical leaves that intervene or academic leaves, but we have 73 with this class, and we're still maintaining a majority of women.
Wow.
Yeah, and also I'd say that in terms of our mission, because we are so mission-based with our medical school, we also have a majority of Kentucky students in this class as well.
Let's talk about the mission of the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine before we go any further. What is the mission?
Well, the mission, this school was established to address the medical needs of the underserved areas of Eastern Kentucky. And we also include the rest of the Commonwealth of Kentucky in that as well, particularly, when we did expand our class size a few years ago. So that's what it is. We're looking to, enroll students who are from here, to teach them here, and then, the prospects of them coming back then are much greater.
Sure. Improving primary practices.
Absolutely.
Here in the Central Appalachia region, and it's been an important mission, and I think we've seen a lot of success with our physicians ending up in those private practices and improving health care for the entire Central Appalachian region.
Yes, we're very pleased at that. I'd say that with this graduating class, we will then have graduated just over 900 new osteopathic physicians.
That's an incredible number. What do you attribute the majority of women to in the class of 2014 and now I guess in the class of 2016?
You know, I don't know that I could really put my finger on any one thing. I think it was probably about time. You know, you could maybe look at it that way. But at least with medical schools, and I would say in this regard, both MD and DO, women are enrolled into medical school in nearly equal numbers as men. You know, it varies.
Right.
And I think right now men just hold a slight, maybe a few percentage points above women. But so I think it was only a matter of time before we had a majority of women applicants.
Right. And I'm not sure that we can look at any particular class, but I know you look at students from the region as far as the application pool and thousands of applicants for a limited number of spots each year. But geographically, where are the students coming from in any given year? I know they don't just come from Kentucky, Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia. They come from several areas outside the Central Appalachian region as well.
Well, I would say that they are, our applicant outreach really has expanded, and I think particularly since we did expand our class size. This year, for example, we received over 3,500 applications. And so that was about 11% higher than we did last year.
Sure.
And so we've been on a steadily increasing pace since I've arrived here. It's been increasing with each subsequent year. So yes, they come from nearly all states. I'd say that with our last few classes, in terms of the profile of students who we have matriculated, they've come from roughly 20 states. We're still going to draw primarily from Kentucky and from
Sure.
the surrounding areas, but we take a few from like the western states, the eastern seaboard, and the southern states, of course, the northern tier.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Linda Dunatov, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. We talk about CHICOM, the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. Of course, graduation coming up just a few short weeks from now. And we talk about the class of 2014 coming back to campus because they've been off campus for 2 years now, completing rotations during their third and fourth years of medical school. Following graduation, they go into residency programs. What type of programs did the students choose, and where will they be located, the 73 graduating?
Well, we have a reputation, and we've been cited nationally with the U.S. News and World Report survey that, we rank second in the country in terms of the number of our graduates who go into one of the primary care specialty residency programs. We're maintaining the same pace with this class. In fact, right now we're I think 73.9% of our students have placed into one of the primary care residency programs. And for primary care, the specialties that we include in that are family medicine, of course, internal medicine, general pediatrics. And so I'd say by far the highest number, the specialty with the most students placing it has been family medicine, and it's followed by internal medicine and so forth. We have, I think, about 19 of those students will be in a residency program within Kentucky.
Right.
So, we're still keeping them close.
Let's talk about the third and fourth year students.
Yes.
They've been off campus for 2 years. And for those that are tuned in that don't understand the process, these students have been in rotations. Explain to those that are tuned in what these students are doing when they are in rotations.
Okay. Well, first of all, with the 4-year curriculum, the first 2 years are essentially classroom instruction.
Sure.
It's heavily oriented towards basic science. It forms the foundation for what they will then be doing in years 3 and 4, which is when they are induced to the clinical realm of osteopathic medicine. So during year 3, they do their core rotations. So these would be like family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, we call it women's health, surgery, and I think psychiatry. Hopefully I've got them all. And then year 4, and so they do that with community-based clinics, some hospitals, and they are within, a region of, that our school addresses primarily Kentucky, but then again, we have like concentric circles, I would say.
Sure.
And then year 4 is when students are doing what are called elective rotations, and I think it's fair to say that this is when they really are solidifying their choice of specialty, which would then become their future career choice, hopefully. And of course, they're also applying for residency programs during that 4th year as well. They're interviewing, so it's a very busy time for them. It's also a time, I'd say, of high anxiety because so much weight, rests on this.
And while they choose residencies, residencies also choose them.
Correct. That's right. So, they want to then be as competitive as they can be because residencies are going to look at them in terms of their academics, of course, but also in terms of their personal characteristics, how they've done in their clinical experiences, their potential to be really an excellent physician.
How far outreaching will the students land in their residencies after graduation of the class of 2014?
Oh, I'm trying to think. As far as, I think we have some who have landed in the West. Those are few and far between. Our students primarily tend to stay within, the area that we recruit from.
Sure.
And but we have some students who are doing residency in Florida. We have some in New York. They go up to Michigan, and they go south to Mississippi.
Safe to say you'll find a ChiCom graduate many different parts of the country.
This is correct.
And a growing number every year.
This is correct, yes.
You've got it. They'll be traveling many different places. The ChiCom graduates, the class of 2014, we talk about graduates coming back to Pikeville after their clinical rotations. They'll graduate and then head into residencies throughout the country. And we're talking today with Dr. Linda Dunatov, Associate Dean for Student Affairs at the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. And we've talked about the mission of ChiCom and how to focus on providing primary care physicians to a Central Appalachian region and meeting that need. Now, there are some other specialties that some of this year's graduates have chosen or been selected to participate in. What are some of those other specialty that they will go into?
Well, with this class, if I remember correctly, I'm drawing from my recollections now, I think we have 2 who will be pursuing anesthesiology programs. We have I think 4 to 5 will be pursuing emergency medicine. I think diagnostic radiology, and then we have physical medicine and rehabilitation. We've got a number who are going into obstetrics and gynecology and psychiatry.
So a mixed bag.
Yes, and then plus 2 of our women graduates are entering military residencies.
Interesting.
Yes.
So very good. ChiCom graduates landing in many different specialties, and of course, as the mission states, primary care, meeting that need for primary care physicians throughout our region. Graduates, they've been away for campus for a couple of years in clinical rotations. I would imagine that graduation and the time they spend before graduation is much like a family reunion when they come back. What are some of the events planned for that weekend?
It very much is. This is a time when I would say of high emotion. The students are really in some ways, well, as they call it, a commencement. It's a time of endings and beginnings. They're basically turning a page and moving on into another area of experience. For us, we have some meetings scheduled with them. We have a picnic that's scheduled for them that includes their family members. So, and then the class usually schedules their own activity, where they can get together and either just do something fun or they just might hang out and just share stories and all of that. On Friday, though, one of the events that I really look forward to, and I think many of the students do, is the graduation banquet that we hold. We usually get a very large turnout of family members, special friends, significant others, And it's a time then when we, bestow awards to members of the class, for some special areas of distinction, and it's just a great time.
Sure. A time to come together before that graduation, and they will travel again in many different directions.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. It is Where the 99 Lead, as we talk about those historic 99 steps that lead to the University of Pikeville campus. But most importantly, those steps lead back into the community and into the world from the University of Pikeville, and as we speak today, of Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Linda Dunatoff, Associate Dean for Student Affairs at the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, our guest today. And as this academic year comes to a close, the class of 2018, that would be this fall's incoming first year class, recently notified of their acceptance into ChiCom this fall. Where do the ChiCom students come from? And I think you mentioned 3,500 applications. Where did these incoming first year students come from?
Well, I can tell you that we have a large contingent from Kentucky, so we're very pleased about that. We have 67 students admitted into this class who are, from Kentucky.
Right.
And of course, we, there again, the profile is not that different from other years in terms of, the states that we are drawing the students from. This class is shaping up to be a large majority of young men. It just varies from year to year.
Sure.
And but I think in terms of their academics, our averages are on par with our the years that we've had before, and very much looking forward to welcoming these men and women to our campus.
Right.
It starts with orientation, which begins July 28th, so it's not that far away.
It's really not.
No.
And it's really not that far behind graduation for the class of 2014 when a new class will come in. You mentioned 67 in the class of 2018 from Kentucky.
Yes.
How many total will be in the class?
We look for 135.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's a big number.
Yes, it-
And it just it impresses me every time we talk about that because, of course, doubled in size
Yes.
with the opening of the Cole building. So 135 new faces on campus, July 28th.
Yes.
And I guess 135 new faces and names to learn
Yes.
for you. While you may have met many of those, they all have their own unique problems and issues that must be addressed. And as you take care of student affairs, I would imagine that you become well acquainted with all students.
We do, and we are there to support our students. We want them to be successful, in their quest to become a DO, and so, we try, to provide them the support that they need, academically,
Sure.
but also I'd say emotionally as well,
Right.
because going to medical school is extremely stressful.
How difficult is the transition for a undergrad with a bachelor's, making that transition to the med school? That first semester, that first year, how tough is that?
So, I think it's going to vary by the individual. Everyone comes with their own level of preparation, but, I sort of harken back to something that actually it's one of our graduates this year who was addressing some of our pre-med students, how she characterized her medical education. She asked them, for example, how many credits are you taking now by semester? And I think some of them were taking some pretty heavy schedules, maybe 18 credits to 19.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, in medical school, just double that, in terms of like the level of work that they will
Right.
have to do. So it really does, it's a life-changing experience. There's no doubt about it. And so, we talk a lot about, it's really important that, students be able to manage their time, but also to study smarter rather than harder.
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you accomplish that?
Well, we do provide them, some assistance during orientation to learn new ways, and And so, we've worked with a learning specialist who has come in and offered workshops to our students.
Sure.
Some of them, some of our students adapt very readily, to the academic demands that they are presented with. Some others need some assistance.
Right.
Yeah.
Talked to many students from the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine over the years. And one thing that is common with everyone is they have to be better managers of time.
Absolutely.
I would imagine that's addressed in orientation.
Yes, we do talk about that. But I think it's also important to note that, medical schools aren't medical students rather, are different than say they were, even say 3 or 4 decades ago, because students now it's not unusual for them to be married or to have other responsibility in their lives. They're not just studying in medical school, they have other responsibilities. And so, even this year, a kind of unique circumstance for us is that several of our women students had babies this year.
Wow.
While they were students, without interrupting their studies. It was amazing.
It really is.
Yes.
We talked with Dr. Linda Dunatov, Associate Dean with Student Affairs at the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. The class of 2014 set to graduate just a few short weeks from now. Incoming July 28th, the class of 2018 holding 135 first-year med students. July 28th, orientation begins. How long is that process?
It's a week. And then they start classes the following Monday.
Very good. So a little earlier start than a typical college student.
Yes.
About a month they'll be in
Yes.
early, so be prepared for that. We talk about recruiting CICOM students. You mentioned over 3,500 applications for the incoming class, the 2018 class that's coming in with 135 students, 135 spots, over 3,500 applications. And how do those 3,500 hear about CICOM?
I think a variety of means. Many hear word of mouth from others. Some of our students, some of our graduates. They also learn about us from the web, and then we go out and we visit a number of colleges and universities. Our director of admissions and recruitment, visits many colleges, primarily in Kentucky and primarily in the surrounding areas. But we also then attend, health professions fairs, and we attend professional meetings, where we would have access to students. We have a big event coming up, actually. Every year we present a pre-medical program at the Kentucky Osteopathic Medical Association's annual meeting. And this year it's in Louisville, and it will be at the third Saturday in June.
Very good. That's part of the recruiting process.
Yes.
And what's the process like to weed 3,500 applications to a class of 135?
Well, we're going to look for students who will help us really meet our mission. And so we're going to look at where they're from. That is certainly, something that we do consider. We are also looking at students who will be successful in medical school. So we look at their academic indicators, their test scores. But the interview, so that determines really who we might then invite to come to campus to interview for a spot in the class. And the interview we find is also very important because it really shows us what the person is like.
Right.
Yeah.
We talk about recruiting. It's constantly going on. I would imagine, much like any sports coach or academic program leader, constantly looking for the next group of athletes or med students, as the case may be. But I've also heard about another program that goes a little younger. Let's talk about the PEP program.
Okay. Well, PEP stands for the Professional Education Preparation Program. Each of the 3 medical schools in the Commonwealth offers a variety of PEP. We are the only one, though, who offers one for high school students. And this is funded through the Office of Post-Secondary Education. We're very grateful to actually have that funding that supports this program. And we typically enroll to this program. It's a 2-week summer program, and actually will start this year on Saturday, June 7th,
Yeah.
and will go until June 20th. And these are either rising juniors, meaning they're just completing their sophomore year in high school,
Right.
or rising seniors, and that's really the majority of the participants. And they come from primarily designated counties within the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and I would say that it's fair to characterize these countries as being among those that are most underserved medically.
Right. The PEP program for high school students, how do they get their hands on this program with the applications, with the information? Is it available in their schools?
Yes, and we work with the high school counselors, and they have it, and so we've already now accepted the group that will be coming in June, but we offer this on an annual basis. The applications generally go out in January, but I'd say a really fun feature of this, of the program that we offer, is the content that they actually experience. They live on campus for 2 weeks. They actually attend lectures from our medical school faculty in the topics of anatomy and physiology, and they get hands-on demonstrations of radiology, for example. They do shadowing and other assignments over at Pikeville Medical Center, and then we usually take them on a weekend away. So it's really a gratifying trip, and it becomes a source of recruitment, because from that group, more recently, we have students then who, as they are graduating from high school, apply to our Osteopathic Medical Scholars Program, which is our program of guaranteed admission into KYCOM. And so we usually have at least one or two, from that, and then they do their undergraduate work at UPike, and then come on into KYCOM.
Guaranteed acceptance. Of course, they're admitted to the Osteopathic Medicine Scholars Program due to their ACT score, their grade point average.
Yes.
They're a good student coming in, obviously.
Cream of the crop.
And then once they reach UPike, they must maintain a certain grade point average.
Correct.
And the MCAT exam, also
Correct.
part of that guaranteed acceptance. But that's been a very successful program, has it not?
We are very pleased with it. We actually have our first class graduating from UPike this year.
Right.
And so, we have a number who will be entering KYCOM. And we've actually now just completed admission of our 5th OMSP Scholars Group, so, into UPike. Very pleased.
A lot of information about the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine recruiting, the upcoming graduation of the class of 2014, the incoming class of 2018, as KYCOM continuing to impress nationally, receiving national attention for its accomplishments, and still a very new medical school that we are proud to have as part of the Pikeville and the University of Pikeville community. Dr. Linda Dunatoff, always our pleasure. We're out of time today, but promise us you'll come back.
I'd love to.
Dr. Linda Dunatoff, Associate Dean for Student Affairs at UPike's Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine. And you've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead. It's a presentation of the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. I'm Andrew Joyce. Thanks for tuning in.